Hey, good morning. We're going to go ahead and work on this C10 again. Today's objective is to remove the plastic fuel cell that's in this thing. We are going to also, and it's kind of dynamic because it's not behind the seat anymore. Somebody has already retroed it, and we can show the camera here. Somebody has retroed it up between the frame rails, but they slung it with some straps, and the quality is not very good. You can see from the view from while it's up on the 2-post lift, the Watts link that was put in previously by myself, a very nice piece. Come around here. One thing we'll have to address when it's all the way aired out and driving is you can see where the compressors have been mounted, where it's been rubbing the drive shaft. We will have to address that because the diameter of this drive shaft is extremely small. I'm assuming that when we go to the 4L80 and we get a different drive shaft, it's going to be at least this diameter, if not bigger, with the power we're going to be making. If you move up here, we will try to remove the transmission today, and we'll see how far we get. On this, I've already, if you come around here, I've already unhooked the fuel filler. The fuel filler, as you see in previous videos, is behind the driver's side tail light. We may or may not utilize that in the future here. The fuel lines, filler cap, and everything disconnected. Fortunate enough to have a transmission jack here. Helps out when you're moving something like this. Now I'm going to remove the 11mm bolts on the drive shaft. We'll save the straps and the bolts for later. Pop this loose, slide it towards the transmission. Then we will pull it out of the transmission, probably with some fluid, maybe not. Drive shaft's out. Okay, now what I have done is I've taken the starter off of the stock 350. Turbo 350 transmission. I've pulled the dipstick out, and I've taken the cooler lines that go to the radiator off, the pre-bent lines. They're off, and of course they're dripping fluid on my floor. The next step will be, what we'll do is these 14mm bolts right here on the flywheel. Can you see that? I got my finger. We're going to remove those. Taking the shifter linkage off and got the transmission in neutral. So I can turn this kind of by hand. It's a little bit at a time. Okay, rotate around to the other one right here. Oop, drop that. And one more. Now I have a power steering line hose in my belt assembly up here, giving me fits. I'm going to go ahead and unhook that. Okay, so I have the 3 converter bolts free from the flywheel, and you can see it kind of slid back into the pump a little bit more. That's going to give me some room so that I can get this transmission out of here. Okay, so I have loosened the 2 mount bolts for the back of the transmission, the tail shaft, bolted the factory cross member, and fished it out of the frame here. Now, I am using my transmission jack here to support the bottom of the transmission. I have removed 4 bell housing bolts, 2 on each side, and I'm assuming there's at least 1 minimum at the top, maybe 2. As I lower my transmission a little bit, we're just going to slightly tip this back. Now the motor is still hooked up and it is in its motor mounts. You can see what I have here. Okay, so what I can see is I have 2 more bell housing bolts up there at the very top. And they're hard to see, hard to get to, right there, and 1 on the opposite side. So 2 remaining before the transmission is loose and ready to come out. Okay, so I have the last 2 remaining bell housing bolts out, loose. We'll slide back as far as we can here to get away from the flywheel. Slowly lower my jack as I back up with it, trying to support it carefully so we don't drop it on the floor. Watch any lines that may be attached, which I don't see any. And keep this thing balanced as well as possible. Okay, the transmission is officially out of the C10.